Shows that make you laugh. Shows that make you think. Music that moves you. It could only be one place. Universal Broadcasting Network. Tune in at ubnradio.com.
It's a little loud in my headphones. Don't forget my applause or I can't start. I'm having a blank. The name of your foundation is?
Case and Cares. It's on the pen.
I know. I got it right here.
The pen.
Shut up, just shut up, shut up, shut up, just shut up, shut up, shut up, just shut up, shut up, just shut up, shut up.
You need the headphones. Can you hear all
I can hear it.
Monday, can we get all those people in here? Because it just makes me want to perform. Thank you, Craig. Wait, am I calling you the wrong name again?
Yeah, it's Kurt.
Oh, Kurt. Isn't that like awful?
I love it.
I do that to him every week. It's like, thank you, Craig. And I'm like, no, it's not Craig. It's Kurt. But like you think I'd know by now. Anyway, welcome to Shut Up. I'm Deborah, Zara, Kobylt. Linda's not here. Nobody else is usually here is here. However, we have an incredible person joining me today. Carrie Kasem. She's back. We love her.
Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, not only is she our guest today, but she's going to just sort of hang out for the hour. And we're going to be talking about Kasem Cares. We're going to be talking about, I was just away, so I'll talk about that a little bit. And then we'll get into Kasem Cares. And then we're going to talk about the presidential election. Because did you watch the debates?
You know, I was on a plane.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I was so into it. My entire family, we were in St. Lucia watching the debate. And we just loved it. It was amazing. We weren't, didn't know what to expect. But you have to admit, Donald Trump, like him or not, most people don't, has really added so much life into this presidential election. I cannot wait to see where it ends up,
Donald Trump, there's some...
Look, I know
there's
the
some
man.
things,
You probably do too.
I've met him. He's,
Yeah.
I think he has there's certain things that I like about him. And I don't, but this is the problem. His bedside manner and how he deals with things, if he's dealing with it this way in America where people can be forgiving and be okay with bluntness and rudeness, if you go to another country and he deals with the country, especially countries that may have nuclear arms or may want to attack us in any way.
Could you see him right now? He'd go, oh my gosh. Well, save that till later because we're going to talk to Dan Schnurr from USC. He's a professor. He's also a political strategist. So we've got him calling in at 1:35. So we've got a really fun show.
Excellent.
So let me first start by telling you where I've been. I was away the past 2 weeks. Sadly, everybody knows that my dad passed away.
So sorry.
I know. It's just hard. Now I'm an orphan. I have no parents alive, and that's a really weird feeling because I'm like, how is it that I could be the next in line? It's just not right. So, but it was a sad thing. I was close to him. So I was in Florida the first week for his funeral. It was wonderful. If you have a picture floating around in there from the last time, that'd be great. But if not, I know I didn't send you one, Craig. Yeah. I'm joking now.
Kurt?
I know. But it was terrific. He got the 21 gun salute because he was in the military. And that is very special. I mean, I'm sure you've been to plenty of these where that's what they get. And
yes.
It made me feel very proud that we were able to put him to rest as he wanted, Yeah. And I've never been to a 21 gun salute funeral. So it was... I felt really proud that we did that for him, And
I totally feel for you because, I lost my dad a year ago and I didn't get to bury him. And he is in a place he doesn't want to be. And he could have had a 21 gun salute because he was in the military. And at least he could have had some form or of, semblance of a funeral. And we didn't get to do that. We had a memorial. It was beautiful with all of his friends and family.
I'm going to ask you about that later then when we come back to it because I guess there's no way to ever do that because I know he's not buried here.
We can there is a way.
Okay, we'll get to that. So then after Florida, my family and I just really needed a vacation and it's almost ridiculous, but we had no idea where we were going. So it was Thursday that he was buried and my kids said, well, Dad has another week off. Like, where are we going? I said, I don't know. Why don't we just stay in Florida? We did not. And we ended up going close enough to the Caribbean. I've never been to the Caribbean for all the places I've been. And we went to St. Lucia. Have you ever been?
I haven't been to St. Lucia. No, I know St. Lucia very well. I have never been there. One of my mom's favorite places.
Okay. I have never even quite heard about people traveling to St. Lucia, St. Bart's and Jamaica and all these other places, but not St. Lucia. It was beautiful. It was very mountainous. And do we have up there the Gros Piton Mountains? Okay. Yes, we climbed that.
Did you?
The 5 of us. And John and I only got to the halfway point. It is extremely rigorous. It's rock filled. So I don't even like heights. I mean, if I were to stand on this table, I'd cry. So you could imagine I had a guide for myself and for John, and then the boys had their own guide. They made it to the top. So I only made it halfway, and our guide said, you have to keep drinking. I said, no, I'm great. I'm hydrated because I was drinking a lot. And I do hike here, but it's nothing like the Grand Teton mountain range in St. Lucia. So we were so slow that by the time the boys were on their way down, they passed us going down from our halfway point.
Right.
Do you follow me?
Yes.
Okay. So we were back in the van. We were hot. We were exhausted. About 25 minutes into our drive, and we had a driver, my legs started to cramp. Oh, no. First, our driver, Francis, said, there was a doctor's wife who died of dehydration here last week. I said, probably didn't drink. So as we were driving, my one leg cramped up, but I thought, and then the other leg started to cramp up, and it started to creep up both my legs. And I thought, oh my goodness, is this what dehydration is? And then all of a sudden my arms, I felt it up my arms. I started to feel the cramping in my stomach up my back, and I started to panic. And it was incredibly painful. And I thought of that doctor's wife.
That's severe dehydration.
Severe dehydration. I have since looked it up. That's between like a 10 and a 15 level of dehydration. At 15, you're gone. And I thought, my muscles are shutting down. My muscles have no water. And I thought, what's the next one to go? The heart. And I started to panic in the car. And he pulled over. And Justin, my oldest, was trying to get water in me. And it was a horrible scene because I honestly thought I might be dead. So I'm here to tell everyone, one day I'm going to do a show on dehydration. I did not realize I was dehydrated. I had been drinking the whole time.
That doesn't matter. And can I give a PSA right now?
Please.
And I just learned this about a year and a half ago because I drank a lot of water and I would feel faint or not feel good or get headaches or actually be moody because that can dehydration.
Oh, is that my issue? It's moodiness from
really,
water?
that's part of it. I mean, not besides lack of vitamins, but that's part of it. People don't realize that you can drink all the water you want. And you will literally just pee it out, right?
But I wasn't urinating. I wasn't peeing. I wasn't doing anything.
Right.
I was, so then what happened?
I mean, you can drink water, and that is definitely good. But to get actually fully hydrated, you have to have enough potassium and magnesium together and salt in your body. So the most important thing is potassium and salt. That actually opens up the cell to get hydrated. Otherwise, your cell stays closed. You will drink water all day long, and you will not hydrate yourself.
Something went wrong. And I actually should be seeing a doctor because somebody said you need to see a doctor. But the scary part of that is clearly I was in a severe dehydration situation, and it really could have gone to the heart and just killed me. And if we didn't pull over, and they were trying to put anything down me, I drank water. I had some Gatorade. Thank God my one kid had some Gatorade.
Gatorade, that's potassium and salt.
I needed
that's
that.
That's electrolytes.
I truly needed that. Another guy had ginger ale. People were just giving me anything. And I started to bounce back a little bit, but it was my entire body. It was horrendously painful, I will tell you. It was awful. Have you ever had a Charlie horse? Imagine hundreds of them going through your body.
Yes, and they are so painful.
Right. And
painful.
So I just wanted to say that was my 2 weeks. St. Lucia, the rest of the time there was fine. I actually recovered pretty quickly. But I'm here to say, people, if you're hiking, if you're doing anything, watch it because you could hurt yourself. You really could die from dehydration, and you don't even know it.
Well, the family from France last week that died in the desert, they were hiking, and gosh, I wish I could say where it was, but they had come over to the States for a vacation, and it was their child and the 2 adults, and they got lost, and they were giving the baby or the kid water so the baby would stay alive. The mom turned back, the dad continued on, and they found them both dead, and the child was alive because of dehydration.
And they probably didn't realize it because I did not. I thought I was hydrating myself. And you're right. It's a lot more than just water. You do need the potassium.
Electrolytes. That's why the Gatorade kicked in probably for you very fast.
Yeah, it did. So good to know. I didn't realize you knew so much about that because a lot of my friends didn't. They're like, oh, I had no idea. So anyway, that was my trip. Grand Tetons, great place to go though. Just make sure you bring enough water and Gatorade or whatever else. So
I'm glad you're still here.
Yeah, me too. Otherwise, whatever. So now we're here together to talk about you, KSM Cares, what happened this past summer, something really important, the Jerry Brown pass. So update us because you were here a couple months ago.
I was, and I think the Iowa bill just passed, the one we lobbied for in Iowa, passed Senator Hoag's bill.
But tell everybody about this for people who don't know because you're here for me as an update. And,
absolutely. So, for people that don't know, my father, Casey Kasem, was isolated from all of his friends, family, us kids. His wife decided when he got sick enough to not let anybody visit, ripped out his phone lines, fired his staff, and we couldn't get to him. So after 2 months, we went to court. And I mean, it's a long story, and I'll give it to you this way. We went to court and realized that a judge does not have the power to just rule on visitation. You have to go through a fight for a conservator/guardianship, will cost you about $100,000 to $300,000, or you have to fight for a durable power, and you're in court. And most people don't even have enough money for a retainer fee, let alone $100,000 to $300,000. And what any good lawyer will tell you is you have pretty much no chance in hell in winning a guardianship over a spouse. Okay, so you'll go through this,
which is really unfair. I mean, very often I think about,
yes.
Grandparents' rights, right? A lot of people will talk about divorce, and suddenly the grandparents can't see them. These things are not fair. So what you're doing and setting a precedent is fantastic. Okay,
thank
so keep
you.
going.
Yeah, so I realized this very quickly, especially when my father said to the court-appointed doctor and the court-appointed attorney for him, I want to see my kids over and over again.
And of course he would. You had a great relationship with them.
Phenomenal
and,
relationship with
and
my
anybody
dad.
would know that.
Right.
Yeah.
Anybody who knows my dad at all knows how close he was with his kids.
Right.
It just, you know my dad, you know us. So he said this, and the Judge Leslie Green, because there was nothing in the law books that allowed a judge to just rule on visitation without the party going under conservatorship or guardianship, and without that fight, she said to both parties in the courtroom, Casey Kasem wants to see his children. Now go in the hallway and figure it out. Go in the hallway and figure it out. If we could go in a hallway and figure it out, Judge, we wouldn't be here. So I realized very quickly, especially when I went public and everybody figured out what was happening, people started writing me letters. This is happening to me. And it ran the gamut. All socioeconomic backgrounds, not just rich celebrities, not just people with money, people that had no money.
Don't you love that you had that impact and people reached out back? Because very often I feel like, are people really going to relate to what I'm saying? And they did. They really did. You're
Thousands of people.
Over every possible economic situation, no matter where they live, what they do. I think that's great.
Thank you. So I created a foundation, the Kasem Cares Foundation, and I started a bill. And the bill, written by Troy Martin, my stepdad, Robert Naylor, who is a lobbyist and a lawyer and was in the California legislature. He was a legislator.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was the Republican, I don't want to say speaker. He was something. This was in the 80s. Anyways, he was part of the legislature, and my mom, a political fundraiser, Republican political fundraiser, since Reagan era, and actually before Reagan. She'd been raising money for the Republican Party. So I have this great team, and people saying we can help you do this. And then Assemblyman Mike Gatto called us up and said, "Hey, we want to do this." So all three of these guys worked really hard on this bill. We call it the Visitation Bill. We took it to Texas. We have it in 12 different states right now, and it's soon to be 40. And I'll tell you why.
You have it passed in 12 different states.
No, we have it passed in 3.
Okay.
Our bill was in Iowa, but there was a very similar bill created by Senator Rob Hogue. We ended up lobbying for that bill, pretty much the same bill we had. So it's in Iowa, it's in California, it's in Texas, and another man named Dr. Sam Sugar got a very similar one passed in Florida. So we're, it's moving.
Growing.
It's growing, yes. So this last week, we are in Seattle for the National Conference of State Legislators. 8,000 to 10,000 senators, state representatives, assembly members were there. So we went to them instead of going state by state, and over 40 states came to our booth. 40 different, legislators from different states came to our booth, and we gave them our packets. We talked to them, and I'm just so excited because we are changing the incredible foundation that I have and the incredible people that I have working for us have just really gotten this bill in all these different states. And instead of taking years and years and years to get into all 50 states, we'll probably have it in the next 3 years, changing a law that literally allows criminal isolation. And this would reverse that.
Do you feel like because now this has been passed or that it was signed by Governor Brown in California, that now this is really going to keep the motion going even faster because the momentum now is really going to keep building? Every
state we get. So Texas was huge.
Yeah.
Texas was huge. Then California and in Iowa. So the fact that we have this in less than 2 years, the Kasem Cares Foundation was in the end of November will be 2 years that I started it. So the momentum is amazing. It's wonderful. The people we have on board are incredible. The organizations that want to work with us, we can't believe it. So it's been amazing. I just want to change things because we're all going to get old, all of us. And if there's not protection now in place, we are all going to be susceptible to isolation, to elder abuse, whether it's physical, financial, emotional. And this at least will stop the isolation. Isolation is where everything starts, because once you can isolate an individual, you can then abuse.
And that's so sad, because that person has the wherewithal, hopefully, to know what's going on, even if they're a little bit in and out of consciousness. They know they're not seeing their family, and that's so sad to me.
It's horrible.
It's really sad. But to know that you're doing this, you know that your dad is watching. Do you feel like he's watching?
He's with me all the time.
You really feel that?
I know he is. There are times I know when he's gone, and I know when he's with me. Yes, he's with me.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So what is next? Like, what's going on next?
Getting the other 40 states involved, so we'll have almost 50 states, and hopefully some states will go every other year,
Right.
And so we can't get them in this next year, but for this following year, we've got so many states that we're getting in, and so many people saying we want to carry this bill, which has been amazing.
If there's any opposition, what is it?
We've come up with in Senate Judiciary Committee,
Right.
dealing with finance, dealing with the judges, dealing with the bar, but we've handled all the opposition. So we've handled the opposition in Texas, Iowa, and California. So when we go to different states, they say, what's the opposition? And we can tell them. Now, every state's going to add and change things to the bill and make it their own.
Right.
But we've really handled that because we've taken a lot of the opposition already. We have this boilerplate bill, the visitation bill. We hand it to a senator and an assemblyman, and we say, here was the resistance, and we don't think you're going to come up with it either, come up against it either.
Right, because a lot of people might say, what if it's a situation where it's a bunch of greedy kids,
Well, then the judge will see that, and especially if there is a history of abuse. You don't let, this is not a bill that gives automatic visitation to kids. No, you have to present your case, but it's going to stop you from spending the $100,000 to $300,000. It's going to allow a judge to say, okay, let's send over a court-appointed attorney or doctor to the ailing loved one. If that person is competent enough to say, I want to see my children like my dad was, there's visitation. If the person says, no, I don't want to see that person, that's end of it. If the person is incapacitated, you look at the child-parent visitation history. It's a very simple process, and that's it.
So Dad is now, he was put to rest where? Where is he? And
He's in a place he's never been. He's in a place, he's in Norway without a gravestone. And he is, anytime I had a syndicated radio show called Sixth Sense. So I have a lot of listeners all over the world. And in Norway, there's some friends that I have over there because of the show. They will go and put flowers on, or they will put candles on. No, it's taken the next day. They're not there anymore. So everything that is ever put on my dad's grave is removed. It's just a disgusting situation over there. So I'm hopefully within the next year, because of some action I'm going to take, and hopefully the DA in Washington will get my dad back here to the States and buried where he wants to be, with a headstone and with, a real funeral.
And didn't he have a directive that stated exactly where he wanted to be?
We haven't seen anything.
So you haven't, doesn't his will or trust have to be read?
You'd think so, right?
Yeah, but what is the judge saying about that?
Where it's... Nothing says I'm innocent more than moving out of the country and giving away your pets on Facebook, right? That's where, so when somebody moves out of the country or somebody's trying to evade everything, it takes a lot longer and the process goes a lot longer. So my father's wife, has decided to kind of hide outside the country. So, we're trying to get her back here for certain things. I can't talk about everything right now, but yeah.
I understand. But once that happens, your goal is to get your dad, Casey Kasem, somebody that we all grew up with, we all listen to and still listen to. I mean, I'm often stunned when I hear him, his countdowns are still on. In fact, I think of you. A lot of times when I hear that, I'm like, oh, I wonder if she's listening. I think about that. I'm thinking, sometimes you must turn it on and you hear your dad, correct?
I don't. It's hard for me to hear him.
I would imagine.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. So I don't turn it on because it's on, Sirius. They play the 70s and 80s shows. And then some FM stations will actually play his countdown on the weekends. And I think that's wonderful. But that's the one thing it gets to me, is hearing my dad's voice. It makes me sad.
Well, then who has given permission to that? Because that clearly belongs to the estate.
No, I think he sold, and I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he sold off the 70s and 80s, maybe the 90s, and I think Clear Channel. Now iHeartRadio owns it.
iHeartRadio.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
see.
of that. Yeah.
Okay. So anything else that you can sort of tell us that's been going on? What's new with you? What have you been doing?
Well, I went to China for the first time.
Oh, why?
Yes, my boyfriend is doing a film out there, Jesse Cove. He is doing, it's an unofficial sequel to Chariots of Fire. And what it's the true story of Eric Little.
Did I read about this? I think I read about it.
You may have. It's been everywhere.
Yeah. Oh, tell me about it.
So it's a true story of Eric Little, who was the main character in Chariots of Fire, who was the runner. He was, English, and he was, I think he was born in China, and his parents lived there. But when he went out there, he went to London for schooling, and then he decided, a very religious man, to go back and do missionary work in China. So he went back there, and then the war broke out, and the Japanese came in, and they interned him. And what went on in the internment camp is really what you're going to see there. And it's the true story of what happened to Eric Little.
When was that original movie, Chariots of Fire? It was
in the 80s, I think.
long time ago.
Yeah.
And so what does your boyfriend
He's
do?
one of the co-stars. He's one of the people that is friends with Eric Little in the internment camp, and he goes through it as well with him.
So are they done filming there? Or
I think he just wrapped yesterday, and he'll be there for ADR and all this other work that you do on movies for a little while. And
I'd
then
love to get him
come
in
back.
here. He sounds
He
great.
will totally come in here.
Oh, that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
and the runner,
Eric Little.
yeah. So
Played by Joseph Fiennes.
yeah. Isn't that Ray Fiennes?
Ray Fiennes' brother, and he did, Shakespeare in Love, and I mean, he's the Enemy at the Gate, I think, or Enemy. Oh gosh, I'm now getting his movies messed up, but yeah. So
I did read about this because I was so taken by that movie, and we were pretty young when that thing came out. I mean, and I remember I was so taken by it, and I've never seen it since. I'm actually going to go out and find that film and watch it again. When is it going to be released?
next year. Next year sometime.
So you're still doing the radio? I mean, what else?
I am. I have, 4 radio shows. I've got 2 law shows. I've got a syndicated finance mortgage show. Been doing that for 9 years. And I have a show called Red Carpet Radio, Westwood One's Red Carpet Radio, where we go to all the biggest red carpets. It's on 600 stations. And it's not an everyday show. It's just,
I think
go to
that's great.
It's so much fun.
So Westwood
So
One,
much
Norm
fun.
Haditz.
Yeah, it's a Westwood One collaboration with Dick Clark Productions
Okay.
and Cumulus.
Okay.
So that's what it is. And I have Ty Bentley is my co-host. He's phenomenal. He's a radio host in DC. Great guy. And we just have so much fun doing it. So
How do you find the time for all this stuff? You've got 4 shows. You've got a foundation. You've got a busy life with your boyfriend.
I'm nonstop. If you saw my calendar, it's literally every hour is blocked off. And you know what? If I'm not working constantly, I'm depressed. I like to work. That makes me happy. So if I'm not productive, forget about it. Even on vacation, I get a little antsy. I have to work so hard that I am so exhausted that when I go, I'm like, okay, thank God I need it.
I have to speak to that because for people like you, I'm the same way. I like to be busy and I like to be productive and meaningful, not just like stupid stuff.
Right.
I mean, I don't like stupid busy. Like a lot of people say, go shopping. I said, I don't want to go shopping. I don't like to go shopping. I'm very comfortable wearing the same stuff year after year.
I wear the same stuff over and over and over again. I have stuff from 15 years ago that I will still wear.
I'm so good with that. I don't need to go to lunch.
Yeah.
I'm not one of those unless
Like
it's something, right? Now you and I should go hang out and do something
Girls
productive.
hate me. I'm like, shopping. I have anxiety when I go shopping. I want to get out of the mall as fast as possible. And of course, there are things I have to shop for. If I have a TV experience, if I have to be on TV or if I have, pictures or whatever it may be, I have to go get stuff. I'm in and out. I know the 2 shops I go to. Karen Millen and Ted Baker, and I am out of there. I know
you're out of
exactly
there.
what I can get. I know my size, and I'm out. Oh. And then there's White House Black Market. Forget about it.
You shop there?
Oh
Really?
yeah, no, that's it. Because I like conservative.
I like Theory and I like Vince, and I just sort of go to the same places all the time.
My 2 major suits I wear all the time. Theory.
Yeah, Theory. I love Theory.
Theory
In
is
fact,
amazing.
I think this is Theory, but whatever. Boring. But,
I know.
my point is, for people who, they'll just say, oh, you need to relax. No, I don't want to relax. I'm okay being busy. There's a movement out there for people to always relax and just sit and be, which is important because if you keep going, your mind gets too cluttered.
Sure.
And I get that too. And when I was relaxing and almost killed myself in St. Lucia, it was a good thing to just have the time to reflect and reflect about my dad and whatnot. But too much relaxation time is just, for me, does not work.
Doesn't work for me.
And then it's not productive.
No.
Then I really just start spinning the same old stuff.
But you do need, for me, I know you need personal growth, and you need, whether it's the therapy that you do, personal growth that you do, your religion, whatever. You do need to quiet your mind, and if you don't, I think that can be dangerous.
So
as
what
well.
do you do?
I do a few different things, but I mostly. I don't want to say meditation, but forms of that, and therapy. I have awesome therapy that I go to that I absolutely love.
It's got to be good therapy. A lot of people I know will go, and they're just discussing the same old thing every week and month after month and year after year.
No,
and I
it's
think
not
to
that
myself,
kind of therapy.
what are they doing in there?
No.
Therapy I know can be really, really valuable. But what else do you do to calm yourself?
I mean, I exercise, and
Yeah.
that really helps, and I eat well. And I know a lot of people think, oh, that doesn't help.
Yes, it does.
Absolutely, 100%. If you do not have the right vitamins in your body, like I was told I had ADD, ADHD, which
I always hear that, but
yeah,
I probably
think
do.
is a crock, the
I
biggest
do
crock
too.
in the
It's
whole
just
world.
that you've got so
Yeah.
much going on in your mind, and it's getting a little. It's in there.
But kids that have it in these moms, and they're told by their doctors and these dads, oh, put your kids on methamphetamines. That's better for them. Well, my friends that are on methamphetamines, one ended up in a loony bin, literally in a ward, and the other one is on disability. So you cannot put kids on methamphetamines and expect them to be healthy adults. I don't get it. It doesn't make sense. The common sense says so. But when they put me on it, and I realized, wow, wait a second, I was never asked, how's your diet? Are you, do you have vitamin deficiencies? Do you have any food allergies? Not one time. Within 20 minutes, I was diagnosed with this crock ADD. Let me tell you something. As soon as I got my iron under control, I stopped eating sugar and processed food, and I took my vitamins, my brain worked. I became a talk radio host. I became smart.
I believe that. My oldest son, they said that he may have some mild ADD. I said, "Psst, so what's that? Big deal. It just means
Yeah.
he's creative and smart. And
That's
he's got
right.
a lot going on in his head." And he's a first-year college student, actually second year now. He just went back on Sunday. He's now involved in producing a couple of shows at school and a couple of TV shows because he got his busy brain to work to do something productive
That's
with
right.
it. I agree with you. And, a doctor said, oh, he should be on medicine. And then my son even said to me, Mom, I feel like maybe I should be on medicine. I've got too much going on in my head. And I said, no way. I said, go figure it out. Go run out in the snowstorm in Boston. But no. And I kind of insisted, and he told me just before he left, he said, I'm really glad you did that because I found a way to work with the brain that I was given. And you're right, food has a lot to do with it because
Very
I know
much
when I
so.
was climbing this thing and almost died, I was not eating right there either. I was downing a lot of pancakes because I was away on vacation, which is so bad. Okay, come on. It's just so bad. So you're right about that too. I mean, it just all sort of goes together. And when your mind is working, you can be productive and do stuff like
That's
take
right.
some cares and have it matter.
And you feel good, and you're not depressed, and you're not tired all the time, and you don't have a crash at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and you're not drinking tons of caffeine.
Although I like my coffee.
And me too. I have it in the morning.
Yeah.
But, I had this, I found that I would go in these like roller coasters with my feeling good, not feeling good, thinking something was wrong with me. And as soon as I actually stopped eating the things that made me feel bad, that all went away.
Yeah, we had a dietitian on at one time talking about that, and it's a bit of a no-brainer in a way. I mean, we all know what we should and shouldn't be eating, correct?
Right.
Um,
Well, no, most people don't. They think low fat, or they think, not full of sugar, but we'll use the aspartame or the fake sugars. There's a movie called Fed Up and the Sugar Movie. These two films will show you what people don't realize, that when they're eating certain processed foods or breads or, spaghetti or certain food, that turns into sugar, pure sugar. And the fact is, if you eat that way, you will not be able to stay thin. You'll have to exercise constantly. I'm thinner when I don't exercise because I eat right. So my food is metabolizing well. When I exercise, I'm hungrier, so I'm a little heavier, which I don't mind. But I used to be 30 pounds heavier because I was a vegan eating tons of processed food and carbohydrates that turned into sugar. Anyway, this is another PSA. Fed Up and the Sugar Movie. Watch it. You will not.
When did they
believe
come
what you're
out?
eating.
Because I've never seen them and I've heard about them enough.
Fed Up was years ago. A Sugar Movie, I think, just came out.
Really?
Yeah, the Sugar movie.
And tell me, so does it talk about processed stuff or
Talks about
'cause processed stuff? I have a real issue with it. I mean, if
Yeah.
your food is going through a machine, there's a problem. Now, granted,
Right.
I eat it. I love crackers.
But people think yogurt is great. Let's do
Oh, I
the
like
yogurt,
yogurt.
and then they
No?
put the sugar in it or the fake sugar in it, and you don't know what it's doing to your body and what it's doing to your liver. And the process of if you just had yogurt without the sugar and you had yogurt without the aspartame or the Splenda, you're a lot better off, right? You're a lot better off.
I'll tell you what's happened to me with that whole Splenda thing. I've gotten so used to Splenda because I now like the taste better than real sugar. If I do real sugar, I've got like 5 packets in there.
Sure.
But that's actually better, isn't it? Than
No,
It's not.
it's all terrible. I mean, yes, sugar is a deadly poison, and people do not realize it. Oh, I'm going to have raw sugar. Oh, I'm going to have agave. That all spikes your glycemic index. It is all destroying your body. In fact, eating sugar is just as bad for your skin as smoking. So there's so many myths about sugar, and you know why? If you watch Fed Up, you will see that the sugar industry, it's a huge industry that gives money to the people you have in politics. Like Michelle Obama tried to stop it. When she tried to get the health food and sugar out, they came down on her so hard.
I remember that.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable what they did to her when she tried to get the obesity rate is going up. We are going up and up and up. And you look at when we started the aerobics and started the, let's get into exercise and exercise it's going to make you thinner. That's not true. In fact, when we started in the 80s with that huge trend, people started getting heavier and heavier and heavier.
Well, first of all, they ate more. The processing is,
processed
to me,
food.
the
It
big
was the
issue.
processed food.
You know,
Yes.
and the fast food, which is processed anyway, with God knows what else is in it. And half the time when you go and you buy something that's processed and you just read the ingredients, if it's more than like 4 or 5 lines, I say put it back.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
I agree wholeheartedly. I go organic, non-GMO. Monsanto is trying to kill us, and I will say that over and over and over again. GMO foods are deadly, and that's also another thing that's going to stop you from staying healthy and losing weight. Get off the GMO food. So if you're going to eat breads, processed food, make sure it says non-GMO. That is very important in all your foods. And in fact, a lot of
Do you
other
speak on this
countries.
too?
Yeah,
I mean,
I had a health show for years.
So you did. I was going to
Yeah.
say, because, I mean, you're not just Case and Cares. You're a lot of everything.
I'm very, you know what? I like to help people. So if whether it's your health, whether it's, for the elderly, whatever it may be, animals, I have my animal causes. I just like to help. And this is another thing. When people are depressed and it's all about me, help somebody. Get out and join an organization. Volunteer. That depression will go away.
Yeah, and that's what you've done. Anything else you can tell us about Case and Cares? What's next on that? And Dan Schnurr, hang on one second. We'll be to you in a second, all right?
Just go to caseandcares.org. Check it out.
Donate.
You can donate. We need the donations to, it's to get a bill across America takes a lot of time
the
and money.
travel, the everything.
Yes,
It's a great undertaking. People
It
don't
is.
realize that, or they might say, she's from money. No,
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
not.
And
No,
there's-
you're not.
No,
No,
and
you're
there's-
not.
My dad, the one thing he gave to us was work ethic. If we said, Dad, can I get a job, was his answer.
I know.
He did not leave us a ton of money. We don't even have any money that he did leave us
can't even
because
see it.
his stepmother, my
Stepmom.
stepmom, took all of it. So look, we're all very self-sufficient, and we're all very proud people, and
Right.
we're very
'Cause you were raised
of
that way
integrity.
with your
Right.
dad.
That's right.
So Kasem Cares, Carrie Kasem, daughter of the wonderful, the amazing Casey Kasem, and an entrepreneur unto herself. So thanks for being here, and you're going to continue to join
you
us
want me
here.
here, I
yeah,
am
do.
here.
Just kind of hang out with us.
You got
Dan,
it.
are you on the line?
I'm here.
Hey, thanks for coming on. I know this was a big undertaking. Dan Schnurr with USC. He's a political strategist. He's all kinds of things. And it was really hard to get him on. And John, my husband of the John and Ken show, is friendly with Dan. And he even called and said, Dan, I need you to come on for Deborah. So thank you for being here. I don't know what you had to
Hey,
move.
first of all, Deborah, it doesn't take John. A call from Deborah is more than good enough.
No. Do you want to hear something really funny? I was too busy. My husband, who, does 20 hours a week, I have to have him call because I was so busy. But we've had a lot of personal stuff going on, and nothing bad with us, but just personal things with funerals and whatnot. I just couldn't even pick up the phone. So he's kind of become my secretary sometimes, which is really, really funny because it's true. So Dan, thank you for being here to talk about the election. We were just in St. Lucia, and we were watching it from there. The whole family, and that gamut runs the ages from 14, my youngest, to my husband and I. It was fascinating. incredible. I'm surprised that Donald Trump remains on top. I happen to know Donald, and I think he's refreshing and interesting. But some of the stuff he says, I'm stunned, and I'm stunned that people aren't more insulted. But it just seems the more that he talks, the more that his numbers go up, right?
Well, that's exactly what's happening. Is you've got a certain segment of the population that's very not only upset and angry with politicians,
Right.
but very dismissive and very disdainful of them also. And while it's hard to see a situation in which Trump becomes either the nominee or the president, he is speaking to a certain number of voters who are just fed up.
You know what, Dan? I don't know anymore because I have to tell you, after watching the polls, and today I was looking at a CNN poll. I watched a Fox. I was looking at a Fox poll. I mean, depending upon what you're looking at and what you're reading, some people are second and third in the race right now, and I know it's early, but Trump still remains on top. And I guess that to me is why? Why do you think that is? And I know that you think that people are fed up with politicians, but still, he said a lot of nasty stuff. And I don't even know if he answered I don't even know if he answered the questions all that well in that debate, and he still came out ahead.
Well, he didn't answer the questions all that well.
He didn't.
But he spoke in a very impolitic way. And for voters who are really unhappy with politics, right now that's good enough. In other words, I don't think very many of those people, Deborah, are voting for him to be president. They're voting for him to let politicians know how sick the voters are with politicians.
Okay, but what about the refreshing vote? You know what I mean? I mean, just people are going to go in there and look at, all these guys or gal. In this case, there's one, I suppose, Carly. And I know that they did that debate based on, the numbers, who's first, second, third. But I was still surprised they didn't put Carly Fiorina in there. I really was. Now, we're all familiar with her, but I guess, people around the country aren't. But now they are.
Well, now they are. I don't think Carly Fiorina said very much in the debate, but she hadn't been saying on the campaign trail for several months.
Right.
But a lot of people saw it, and I would be very, very, very surprised if she's not in the main event when the next debate takes place in September.
This is Carrie Kasem. Hi there, Dan. This kind of reminds me of, and he's not like him, but it was kind of like Ross Perot. People liked Ross Perot. He was refreshing. He was a businessman. He had ideas that we didn't hear. He talked to us like laymen. It wasn't a politician. And I feel like that's really kind of what's going on with Donald Trump here. But I don't think that the party is going to allow him.
Maybe, but what if the people are just insisting? I mean,
still don't think, because you have big business really has a lot to do with who's the president. I really truly believe that. I don't think they're going to allow Donald Trump. And here's another reason that I fear if Donald Trump goes any farther than he is now. He does not have the ability to rein in what he says. He's blunt. He can be rude. And if you're talking to, let's say, Ahmadinejad, you're talking to Iran, and he just decides to tell him what he thinks. Yeah, these people sometimes are not in their right mind. Let's hit that red button. You guys, there goes California.
Imagine if they even find it refreshing. I'm just saying.
Doubt it.
I doubt it too. But
and I don't think most voters would ever put him in that position. But for the time being, they just want to let the politicians in both parties know that they're tired of it and that they want something different.
What are your thoughts on?
Even when Trump says something about John McCain or about Megyn Kelly, that voters don't agree with, they still like the fact that in their eyes he's telling truth back to power.
Yeah.
Thoughts on John Kasich? I really liked what he had to say. He seems very, very forthright. I was surprised. I didn't know much about him, but I learned more about him in the debate. Thoughts?
Kasich is moving up in the polls very, very quickly. He's now in third place in New Hampshire, right behind Bush and only a few points behind Trump. And even though he didn't get nearly as much attention as governor of Ohio, people are realizing that he actually did a very good job there.
I thought he did a terrific job. Go ahead.
Kasich is the comer, and if Jeb Bush has something to worry about, it's not Donald Trump, it's John Kasich.
You think so? Not Walker?
I don't think so. Walker and Kasich became governor at the same time. They both picked a fight with organized labor.
Mm-hmm.
Kasich backed off a little bit, and Walker kept fighting.
Right.
And what seems to have happened over the years is that although Walker got much more attention for his fight, Kasich is in a much better place right now, having gotten most of what he wanted, not all of it. And although he's been overshadowed by Walker, I wouldn't be surprised to see him move past Walker as the primaries get closer.
What about The Good Doctor? He's sort of. Do you know who I'm talking about, Carrie? Yeah, Carrie didn't watch it. She was okay. She was on an airplane.
I was
but,
on an airplane. I very rarely miss these things, but I have missed everything.
Yeah, no, that's okay, especially when you're busy. And, a lot of times I miss these things too. And 3 weeks later, I end up sort of watching it at another time.
Yes.
But, Dan, can you fill her in on who I'm talking about here? I thought he was terrific,
Sure,
too.
of course. Ben Carson
Right.
is an African-American surgeon.
No, I know. Yeah, I
who
know
has
who he
never
is. Yeah.
held office before, but is very well regarded in the conservative community for a lot of reasons.
Right.
But primarily because a few years back he was at a program with Barack Obama, and Ben Carson told off Obama in no uncertain terms what was wrong with the Affordable Care Act, not from the standpoint of a conservative,
Right.
but from the standpoint of a doctor.
Right. And that put him on the stage
Very-
for sure.
Yeah, very smart guy, very highly thought of. I think what happened in the debate, Deborah, and you may have seen the same thing, is being on a stage with 10 other people is tough.
Yeah.
And I don't think he was quite sure, this being the first time he's done something like that, he wasn't quite sure when and how to interject himself. So he didn't get the attention on the debate stage that he probably deserved. My guess is he'll be much better at it next time around.
Chris Christie also surprised me, having been from New Jersey. I know a lot about everyone from New Jersey, even though I haven't lived there in quite some time. He was sort of the Donald Trump, if you will. He was sort of the one who would always be speaking his mind. It's almost like people have tried to pull him back. What do you think about that? Suddenly he's like the quiet guy at the end of the road there, at the end of the line.
I don't know if Chris Christie's any quieter than he ever has been. He's always been a very blustery and very confrontational, and that's been part of his appeal in New Jersey. So I don't think he's any quieter than he used to be. He just doesn't seem all that combative when he's on the same stage as Donald Trump.
Right. So where do you think
he took on Rand Paul pretty forcefully. I think there's a lot of people who believe that if Christie had run 4 years ago, he might have beaten Mitt Romney. But this year, the field is so much more crowded, it's going to be a lot harder for him to get noticed.
What about Rubio?
Rubio's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a very, very smart guy. He did very well in the debate.
I thought so too.
He's been very thoughtful on public policy. I would suggest to you that Marco Rubio's biggest obstacle is Barack Obama. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of swing voters out there who might have been impressed by Obama in 2008, and now they're thinking, wow, here's another first-term senator, doesn't have a lot of experience, seems to know what he's talking about. Maybe I don't want to take that risk a second time like I did back 7, 8 years ago.
Interesting. Now let's swing over to
I think
Go ahead.
for Rubio, he's got to convince people that just because he is a young and smart minority candidate doesn't mean that he's another Barack Obama.
In your opinion, who do you think came out sort of shining from the debates, the Republican debates? I have my thoughts.
I think Rubio probably did the best overall. For the audience that he was trying to reach, Ted Cruz did very well, although it's not likely that he's going to be the nominee.
Hope not.
But going back to your previous point, Deborah, Kasich continues to impress people, and he got in the race late. He hasn't gotten as much attention as other people, but he's heading in the right direction, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him as one of the finalists by the time we get into the spring of next year.
Yeah, I thought he came out. Looking very, very good. I also thought Bush looked really good. I realize he's a lifelong politician, but those were my thoughts. I thought he looked pretty good. Now going over to the other side with Hillary and Sanders. Now Sanders has overtaken Hillary's spot as the number one candidate right now in that party. Is that correct? I mean, depending upon the poll you see.
Well, Sanders has now moved into first place in New Hampshire,
right,
which is a pretty huge step considering that he was 50 or 60 points behind her about a month ago. On the other hand, he's from the neighboring state of Vermont. The western part of New Hampshire is in the Burlington media market where he was mayor. So he's still a pretty decided underdog. It's difficult to see Sanders becoming the nominee. He's drawing such huge crowds, 25,000 people in Portland, almost that many people here, 15,000 people in Wisconsin. He might not be the nominee, but he's going to drag Hillary to the left, I think, much in the same way that some of the more conservative candidates dragged Romney to the right in 2012. So Sanders might not be the nominee, but Hillary's paying attention to him,
Yeah, but
and he's going to impact the way she approaches this.
yeah, ultimately though that did not work for Romney. Don't you agree? Because he just didn't come off as genuine.
Well, and that's my point, is he probably was more centrist than he came across in the campaign, and it hurt him to be seen as more conservative.
Right.
The question is whether Clinton runs into the same kind of problem because Sanders drags her further to the left than she'd like to be.
Right. Okay, well thank you for coming on. Like any anything else you'd like to say about what we all need to look forward to and what's coming up and what people should be watching?
I'll get both sides mad at me with a closing comment.
Oh, but that's
Deborah, and
great.
that is, Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump are very, very different in terms of the issues, in terms of ideology, but they're speaking the same message on behalf of a lot of angry voters. If you're a liberal or if you're a progressive, the way Sanders is talking about it makes sense. If you're more conservative, the way Trump's talking about it, resonates more. But it's a lot of voters who are angry at politics as usual, and whether it's from the left or the right, they're looking for someone to voice that anger. That's what Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump have in common.
So Trump is in this for what? Does he really think that he can get it, or what's he in it for?
I think Donald Trump is having fun. The thing that Donald Trump enjoys more than anything else, and if you know him, you know this better than I do, Donald Trump enjoys attention. And whether it's on The Apprentice, or whether it's the Miss USA contest, or whether it's a presidential campaign, the more people there are talking about and paying attention to Donald Trump, the happier he is. So right now he's having a lot of fun, and he will have fun for the next several months, and that's good. And I think enjoying himself in that regard is going to be more important than actually becoming the nominee or becoming president.
He is a very genuine guy, though. The way he speaks is the way he feels. I remember covering him in Atlantic City when he was going through all of one of his first bankruptcies with his casinos, and I think he's had 4 there since. But he was filibustering even then. I mean, his personality is big. He has an incredible amount of self-confidence and doesn't give a shit, really, of what he says. He believes what he says.
That's a danger too.
It's a danger, like you said.
But I like it. I mean, it's refreshing. You're not going to like everything that comes out of his mouth, but I don't think that's. I mean, there's a reason that politicians are politicians, is how they talk and how they speak, and especially with the foreign dignitaries and dealing with different countries. He doesn't have that.
No, but then maybe they wouldn't put him in charge there. They go send somebody else.
Maybe not.
I don't know, Dan. Dan, thanks for joining us. Go ahead.
Guys, thanks for having me on.
No. Go ahead. We have another minute or two. Go ahead. We have another minute.
Join you whenever I can.
Yeah, no, we have another minute or two. I didn't want to cut you off. You said Donald Trump. What? You were going to finish?
Oh, I said he's been picking fights with politicians since he got in a fight with Ed Koch, the mayor of New York City, back in the 1980s. It's fun for him, and so now he's having a lot of fun, and he'll enjoy himself for a while, and then he'll go back to The Apprentice.
Oh, you really think so? You think he's going to go back onto The Apprentice?
Well, it's not The Apprentice, another TV show, but at a certain point, the campaign will run its course, and we'll go on to Jeb Bush and John Kasich and Merkel Rubio and all the rest of them.
Maybe Fox will pick him up.
Oh, you're right. Roger Ailes. I know he's friendly with Roger Ailes, who runs Fox.
I mean, I'd watch his show.
I'd watch it. That is so smart. You're probably
entertainment.
right. That's probably where we're going to see him up with Megyn Kelly. So, all right. Thanks so much, Dan. I'll talk to you soon. And don't forget, we wanted to plan that dinner, so let's try and get on that too.
I'm looking forward to coming back on the show, and I'm looking forward to dinner just as much.
That'd be really fun. Okay. Thanks, Dan. We'll talk to you
Bye,
soon.
Dan.
Have a great day.
Hi, guys.
Okay, bye. And everybody else, thanks for tuning in to Shut Up. Carrie Kaysen, thanks for being here.
Thank you
it's
so
so much
much for
fun. You're so
having me.
easy. I mean, you're like the easiest thing. You can come anytime.
You can have anytime you need a co-host, I will be here.
Yeah,
You
that'd
just
be
call
great.
me.
Okay, that's wonderful. All right, I'll see you later. Everybody, thank you. We'll see you next week. Another version of Shut Up.